Alright guys, I want to make a quick video on how to replace valve seals on a small block Chevy engine. It's really simple. Alright, so the engine I picked up didn't have, they call them a hat style seal, which this is the intake one. And then over here is the exhaust. Now they're different for the intake and the exhaust. Now I did them all except for this last cylinder here, which I want to show you guys. So simple way to do it while the motor's still, the heads are still on the block. You want to get yourself one of these tools here. It's an air hose with a valve on it, and it screws right into your spark plug. Sorry, I am holding the phone and trying to do this one-handed. There is an O-ring on the end that keeps it from leaking. Hold on. Alright, I twisted that in. Then you take your air line, hook it up. Alright, now you add air. Now the motor might make a clunking noise, like mine just did. That's normal. What that is it pushing the piston down at the bottom of its stroke. So that's all that was. So, next, get yourself one of these tools here. Looks like a little pry bar. And this will sit on the here. And then what I used is my rocker arm nut and the beveled washer, and then we'll just put that on there and we'll twist this on. So you want to twist it on so it's like that, and there are keepers in here. They're split in half. What you're going to do, you're going to pry this toward yourself, push down on the spring, and then you're going to pull out these keepers. So it's hard to do while I'm holding the phone. Here's a better view. Let's see when I bend down. Yeah. When I push it down, I'm going to grab them and I'll pull them out. Alright, sorry I accidentally shut it off, but that's what they look like. So the upper part, you'll see is fatter than the bottom, how it's real skinny. And that goes on top, that goes toward the bottom. And you come back here, see how I got it out? Then I just take my impact gun, loosen this up because now it has the spring tension on it. And pull this off, pull that off. Now you can pull the spring out. Now, they didn't have these on. There's a rubber O-ring up top here, which is a valve stem seal, which I'm replacing anyways. So if you look, this one here is your intake side. That's your intake. That's your exhaust. So this would be your exhaust valve. That's your intake valve. Now the hissing noise you hear, the engine hasn't been run since it's been put back together. It's just air going in the crankcase around the compression rings, oil rings. That's normal. So what I'm going to do now is, since this is the intake side, this goes on. Now they give you a clear sleeve, and there's a big hole here and a little hole at the top. Big hole goes over the valve. Now that, because there's grooves, and that protects from tearing up the rubber. And then you just push it down onto there, like so. Pull that off. Now there is a spring clip right here. What you're going to do, you're going to take a socket that fits over this nicely and lines up, and then you're going to tap down until it bottoms out and seats. Now you can hear it. It will sound differently after it hits bottom. So I'm going to tap it down now. Alright, so now that's tapped down. And the spring clip, if it ever focuses, right here, see how it expands? That's normal. So then, on top, you will have another O-ring. So slide that down, and there's two grooves. This will go in the second groove right there. The top groove is where your retaining clips will go. So now you just put it back together the way you took it off. And instead I use the bevel washer here. Now on these, the curved part goes on the top of the nut because it's a lock nut. And then make sure your valve spring is seated. And what I'll do, I'll pull this toward me, and then I'll put the retaining clips down in. So now, as you can see, that's down, they're in there, then you can screw this off. Now I'll jump ahead, I'll get the exhaust side tore apart. It's a little bit different than the intake side. I will show you that in a second. So you'll repeat the same process to get the retainer clips off. Pull this off. This one here, like I said again, they didn't put the seals on, the cap seals. Now this one here is a hard plastic, obviously, because it's an exhaust valve and it's going to be way harder than your intake valve. So it's pretty simple. Right here, it just pops on, and then just slide it down, shake it over, and seat right up. And then repeat the process, putting it back on. Put this on, make sure it's in the spring seat. And then I will jump ahead. And voila. Now, for good measure, I like to take my hammer, make sure it's flat here. It's not like got an imprint because it'll mark up the top of the valves. But I like to just lightly tap, not hard, just on the stem itself, just to make sure the retainers are seated. And there you go. Simple, easy process. Shut your air off and take your hose off. Do that for all the cylinders, and that's how you change out your valve stem seals. Pretty simple. This O-ring also goes on top in the second groove, like that. I'd like to recap something real quick. The reason why you have to add compressed air into the spark plug is because the air pushes up and holds the valves from falling down inside the engine. That way, when you take the retainer clips off, the valve doesn't fall down inside the engine, so it holds it up. Just wanted to recap. I don't think I mentioned that. So, yes.